Good Thursday evening, weather friends. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett here in the King 5 newsroom, where we had a gorgeous day today. But in case you haven't got the memo, it's going to get warm, if not downright hot, this weekend. Temperatures really bumping up. What's significant about that is, if you put it into context, you remember throughout the entire month of April, we had a hard time breaking out of the 50s. In fact, we stayed in the 40s at some points there. So for these temperatures to warm up to the levels where they're going to be in the upper 80s and possibly some lower 90s will be fairly abrupt. In fact, so much so that we've issued a first alert. That'll kick in on Saturday. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But you know what? For the time being, let's start where we are. This is the sunset on Thursday night out towards Claylock on the coast of the Olympic National Forest. They've done a really nice job of upgrading that camera. Sky's blue, but you do see some mid-level cloud cover out there. That will clear as that high pressure continues to build. Temperatures today well above average. In fact, 75 was the official high today at SeaTac, 50 in the overnights. Both of those numbers above the 30-year average of 66 and 48, below the record of 87 and 35. Obviously no rain in the gauges, and that sunset getting later and later while that sunrise gets earlier and earlier. Check that out, 5:38. So high temperatures across western Washington today were fantastic. We saw some upper 60s along the coast. Oak Harbor's still stuck in the upper 50s there. We'll warm you up this weekend, and even off towards the east it wasn't too hot. 77 in Wenatchee, 78 in Ellensburg. So about the first alert, it will kick on Saturday afternoon, stay in place until Monday afternoon. That's when we expect that heat to really be at its peak. Now, abrupt heating and storm potential on Monday. I'll tell you more about that coming up in just a moment. Where? Well, all of Puget Sound, the Kitsap Peninsula, the coast, and in particular the southwest interior. In fact, that's where I expect some of those temperatures to be at their highest, possibly in the upper 80s, and again some lower 90s definitely on Sunday. So over the next 5 days, this is how it breaks down. We've been incrementally warming, so by the time we get into Saturday, looks like we will be in the mid 80s. It looks like we climb into the upper 80s, and again possibly some lower 90s Sunday and Monday. We've dialed that back slightly. Originally forecasters were saying for sure 90 on Monday, but now with that storm potential, it looks like that could dial back a little bit. Oh, and one more thing. Looks like Friday's going to be an absolutely gorgeous day, and once we get that heat out of here on Monday, it looks like it will return to being very nice and very comfortable. So the National Weather Service has issued an excessive heat watch. Everything you see there in red, including the southwest interior, the immediate coast, and the coastal portions of Skagit and Whatcom County, and then all the way down into Oregon. So looks like those temperatures will be in the mid 80s to lower 90s all the way through 5 p.m. on Monday. So what's the big deal? I know a lot of people are saying, look, it's going to get warm. Are you guys overreacting? Well, it's not just a little heat. It's the first heat of the season. It is a little bit above or ahead of schedule, I guess, if you want to put it that way, and up to 20 degrees above average. Remember, the average for this time of year is about 65, 66. We're going to blow right on past that. Now, there are increased risks of heat-related illness and cold water shock. So it's been a while since we talked about it, but it bears repeating. A lot of people are going to be out this weekend recreating, and you should. It's going to be great, but it all has to do with your head. Remember, if you feel any type of dizziness, one of those low, dull headaches, usually a sign that you are underhydrated. So just make sure that you're bringing the water, the electrolytes with you. They definitely do wonders. If you cross over and you start to feel nausea or extreme weakness, confusion, dizziness, or worst case scenario, somebody becomes unconscious because of the heat, that is definitely heat stroke, and that is a 911 type emergency. Just make sure you're keeping a close eye on yourself and everybody in your parties. On top of that, the water is still cold. Now, water temperatures have come up nicely over the last couple of weeks. In fact, Puget Sound in the low 50s now, Lake Washington and Lake Sammamish in the upper 50s and lower 60s, and the rivers still very cold. In fact, we expect a lot of snowmelt to be taking place over the next couple of days. So even though those numbers look pretty good, remember that is at least 20 to 25 degrees below the air temperature, and it can be shocking. And we have had several cases where people jump into the water to beat the heat and then immediately become paralyzed. So make sure that you're keeping a close eye again on your friends, your family, and if you are planning on recreating, you know, life jackets. Sometimes they look kind of dumb, but man, they sure work. Take a look at upper air. What we're going to see is those colors really start to increase. Obviously, the oranges and yellows and reds indicate that it is warmer, but you see that yellow that starts to form down towards the south on Sunday. That is a ridge of high pressure, or excuse me, a trough of low pressure that's going to form down towards the south that will bring some moisture into our neck of the woods and possibly something very similar to monsoonal moisture. So it's not that system you see off the coast. It's the one that forms Saturday into Sunday, see down towards California and Oregon, that's going to push some moisture our way late Sunday into Monday. If you've ever been in the Southwest in places like Arizona or the Southern California desert and have experienced monsoonal moisture and storms, that's kind of what we're looking at. It's going to be hot. We're going to add some moisture to it. It's going to start to feel humid, and it could be the catalyst for some storms not only in the mountains but possibly in the lower elevations as we go into Monday. We'll keep a close eye on that. As far as wind goes, well, whenever high pressure builds across the region, that usually makes those winds switch and become offshore. And that's exactly what we'll see on Friday. Along the immediate coast, it'll have more of a northerly feel to it, but along Puget Sound and especially in the mountains and off towards the east, we'll start to see those winds picking up. Nothing that I expect to be particularly gusty, but it looks like it will be the predominant flow coming in from the east as we go over the next couple of days. So if you are planning on heading out on the boat or sailing or any type of boating whatsoever, doesn't look like it's going to be too gusty, but the wind direction will be a little unusual. Overnight lows tonight will be comfortable. In fact, that's a big part of our weather story. It looks like we will see those things cooling down into the upper 40s and lower 50s in the overnight, so you will get some relief and you'll be able to open the windows once the sun goes down. Here's what we're looking at for Friday. It's going to be another gorgeous day out there. We're going to take it up a little bit. In fact, we'll see some low 80s from North Bend all the way through Bremerton and off towards Paulsbo, pushing some mid 80s in Yelm and Lakewood. Even Olympia gets into the mid 80s there as well. Along the coast, obviously slightly cooler, but Forks is getting into the mid 70s, and then as soon as you head inland, we're looking at some mid to upper 80s there as well. And then, well, look at this. Tomorrow we're going to see Tri-Cities taking a run at 90. 7-day forecast shows one more day that will be pleasant, and then it will be warm, if not downright hot, throughout the entire Mother's Day weekend. Then we're looking at the potential for those storms on Monday afternoon, but then beyond that, it looks like we are going to be in a very nice pattern where it will be not too hot, not too cold, just right if you like upper 70s and lower 80s. So there you have it in a nutshell. That is your first alert forecast for this Thursday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett in the King 5 newsroom. Stay warm, no, stay cool, stay safe, and as always, keep looking up.